What is good, everybody? Welcome back to Infamously Speaking, the show that challenges you to think critically and speak infamously. I'm Matt Rosa, and man, what a wild night of playoff hoops. We had a crazy comebacks, wild collapse by Cleveland, a Stephless Warriors team pulling off a stunner in Minnesota to steal game one and take home court advantage in that series. Let's jump right in and let's break it down. Let's start with the first game of the night, Pacers Cavs game two, and really highlighted by the collapse of Cleveland. They were up 117 to 110 with under a minute to go. And then the Pacers go on a Reggie Miller-esque run, 8-0 in less than 50 seconds to steal the victory away from Cleveland. Of course, Tyrese Haliburton misses the free throw, gets his own offensive rebound, and then drains the game-winning three. I mean, ice water in his veins. What a way to respond to the overrated claims by hitting not one, with two game-winning shots in back-to-back series in these playoffs. We'll get more into the Pacers' evolution and growth a little bit later on, but let's just talk about the game as a whole. Cavs raced out to an early lead. Donovan Mitchell couldn't miss. He was electric throughout the entire game. Almost dropped a 50 ball. But those injuries are really catching up with Cleveland. No Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley. They needed that defense. And of course, the spark that Darius Garland provides is massive. Rough night for Ty Jerome shooting the ball as well. And so it really was the Donovan Mitchell show. And late in that clutch time, the offense kind of felt stagnant for the Cavs. And that was just because they were able to key on Donovan Mitchell, and the Pacers were really able to ramp up their defensive intensity. And Miles Turner was just huge down the stretch with some key blocks. Max Strus with that critical pick off of the Nembhard pass to really turn the game. But just really a total win by the Pacers team. I mean, Haliburton with 19-9-4. Key stat, no turnovers in the game. Miles Turner with 28, 3-3. Nesmith with 23 and 5 triples. But if you go into the stats, I mean, Indiana won the three-point battle by 11. Turnovers weren't too egregious either way, and the rebounds were pretty much even. So how did Indiana get back in the game? Well, they shot 52% from the field and held Cleveland to 43%. That'll do it. And like I said, Cleveland's offense just got a little stagnant, a little too Donovan Mitchell focused, which, I mean, when you have a superstar, you want the ball in his hands. But it's easy for a team like Indiana, who has great defensive intensity, has good size on the wing, to be able to kind of combat and throw at Donovan Mitchell, a lot of different bodies, and of course, a great rim protector, Miles Turner. They were able to really clamp down on the defensive end in the fourth and pull the game. But I want to talk about the growth of Indiana, because this is what's really impressive for me. I'm not going to get too much into the X's and O's of everything. It's not what I'm about. What I want to talk about is growth. So if you remember, Indiana was the other team in the Eastern Conference Finals last year against Boston, and a lot of people dismissed that series. Indiana got swept, but I want everybody to take a minute and look back at that series. Yes, Boston swept them, but there was only one game that was decided by more than 5 points. And if you remember game one in Boston, Indiana should have won that game, and they gave it away. Of course, Jaylen Brown's late game heroics to hit the three-point shot to send it into overtime. And that really set the tone for the series. The Pacers were terrible in clutch time in that series. They went 0-3. This year, the Pacers are 4-0 in clutch time in these playoffs. Like I highlighted earlier, Tyrese Haliburton, 2 game-winning shots. They're confident. They've been here before. They're not intimidated by the Cavs. They're not scared of the challenge. They're embracing the challenge. They have the most overrated player in the NBA on their roster, and they're really, really living into that, you know what, us against the world mentality. And what I love most about what the Pacers showed tonight was the fight. They could have easily been happy and satisfied going back to Indiana with home court advantage, tied 1-1, right? I mean, that's all you can ask for when you're the road team starting off a series. Let's just get one. Let's just get one, go back with home court advantage, and let it ride from there. But they didn't. They continued to claw back. They continued to fight. Obviously, they have champion coach Rick Carlisle in their corner, and they just came out and they balled. They balled. And of course, is this concerning for Cleveland? Absolutely. Absolutely concerning for Cleveland. They need to get their guys back. It can't only be Donovan Mitchell, right? Awesome player doesn't beat great team. it just doesn't happen like that. So just credit to the Pacers. Credit to the Pacers. Credit to their growth. Credit to their ability to not be shaken when the Cavs came out and threw a huge punch at them. The energy was definitely in Cleveland's corner. But they fought back, they battled back. And like I said, remember that growth. Remember that growth from last year to this year. Don't be surprised that Indiana is performing well in these late game moments. They had their slice of humble pie last year when they played Boston and struggled in those critical moments, right? Mental lapses, poor execution down the stretch, turnovers for no reason. Now, poised, cool, calm, collected, Cavs in big trouble. Indiana is lit. Game 3 is going to be an absolute dogfight. I expect Cleveland, obviously, to come back. They got punched in the mouth, got absolutely punched in the mouth. But if they want to contend with the big dogs and have any hope of facing Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals or the Knicks, they're definitely going to 100% have to show up big time. They're going to have to get healthy. Hopefully, Garland and Mobley and Hunter can make their way back to this series before it's over. Now, let's talk about the other game in a much anticipated series, Warriors at the Timberwolves. This was a nasty game. This was an absolutely nasty game. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. What I mean is both teams were getting after it on the defensive end. And I want to start with the Wolves' lack of ability to get any kind of early offense going. Opened the game 0 for 15 from 3. Their first field goal in the second quarter didn't come until the 7-minute mark. I think there was like a 7-minute stretch where they just didn't score any points at all. They had their lowest scoring first half of the entire season with 31 points and gave the ball up 8 times in the second quarter alone. And what's really interesting is when you looked at this series, Minnesota should have a really large advantage on the board just because of their size. If you listen to the episode that we posted on Monday, me and Quan were talking about Minnesota's size at every position should really give the Warriors trouble on the boards. But Jimmy had 5 offensive rebounds in the first half alone with some big buckets down the stretch. Now, Steph Curry went out early to mid-second quarter. I don't remember exactly what time in the second quarter he went out. Did not return with what looked like a calf or hamstring injury. Hopefully, they're able to get him back for game 2. Extremely difficult to see how they win this series without him. But you got to credit their defense. Draymond Green was an absolute dog on both sides of the floor. I mean, was their best 3-point shooter until Buddy Hield caught fire in the second half. I do want to talk about the others for Golden State. So I believe Golden State played 12 guys today, which is unheard of in the playoff basketball. I mean, maybe Boston gets to a number like that. One, because they blow people out so often. We're like, hey, we're just going to empty the bench, right? You'll see that. But also because they just have so much great depth because they built that roster up so well. Shout out to Steve Kerr. Shout out to Steve Kerr for having trust in his guys. I mean, part of it is, hey, we need something going on because there's no Steph. But he put in, it seems like everybody that was available, and everybody was able to contribute, whether it was on the defensive end, grabbing some key rebounds, hitting some key buckets. And I felt like every time the Wolves were getting some momentum, the Warriors would come back with an and one layup, a 3-point shot, or even an easy 2. Big disparity in this game was the 3-point shooting. I mean, Golden State was plus 39 from 3. The Wolves shoot 5 from 29 from deep. And that struggle from 3-point carried over from their last game in LA. And they were able to win that game. They, at the time, had set the record for the most missed threes in a playoff game. And so Boston was like, hey, hold my beer. Check this shit out. And they went extremely cold against the Knicks last night. One thing that I did like from Minnesota, and it looks like they learned from Boston, especially Amp, he started attacking the basket in the second half. In fact, his first jumper came with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He just kept on attacking the rim. And I wish they got to that earlier. right? Your threes are not falling, and a lot of them were not close. It wasn't like they were rimming out or out and in. It was they were hitting backboard. They were missing completely, and a lot of that goes to Golden State's defense, right? They were extremely active, contesting what it felt like every 3-point shot. But you got to see what's not falling and then adjust. And I think the Wolves took too long to do that, because once they started getting aggressive, getting downhill, exploiting mismatches, Gobert on pretty much anybody. He's the biggest guy on the court. And no one can guard him. No one can stay in front of him. That's when they started cutting into that lead that Golden State built. I mean, at one point it was up to 20. It might have gotten bigger than that, but they were able to cut it down to within 8. And that's because they were being aggressive and getting to the basket and then really being strong in the half-court defense. So I'm going to look for that in game 2 from the Wolves of let's not settle for the 3-point shot, right? If it's not falling early, attack the basket. Get to the line. Get to the line. That's what got Ant. Ant made a free throw, missed one, made one. And then after you saw that first bucket go in, then you felt like there was a new sense of confidence within him. And then he ended up with 21, 22 points. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but 20 plus points when he had 0, I believe, in the first half. So to wrap this up, what does Golden State do if Steph can't go? Playoff Jimmy is going to have to appear in ways that we have not seen in Golden State just yet. And what I mean by that is he can't be as passive as he was today. There was a lot of times where he was driving. He had a decent look at the rim. And even when he had wide open looks at the hoop, it felt like he was looking to pass instead of looking to score. Golden State's not going to be able to win with that. Win like that without Steph. Jimmy Butler's going to need to be aggressive. Buddy Hield's going to need to continue to play out of his mind. Draymond Green needs to continue being Draymond. And I want to credit Draymond because there was a lot of points in the game where things felt like there were, I shouldn't say a lot, but there were some points in the game where it felt like things could start getting chippy. And he kind of kept his composure, kept his demeanor. He even broke up a little altercation that was kind of going on with DiVincenzo and one of the Warriors players. They need him. He can't afford to pick up a flagrant, extra technical, miss a game. They need him to be locked in. He's playing at a different level right now. I mean, you could argue with Steph being out, he's their best player on the floor. What he does for their offense, being that point forward, what he does for their defense, anchoring it, bringing the intensity, really giving any matchup that he gets assigned trouble, just harassing them nonstop. But what I will say is this felt very vintage Warriors. And what I mean by that is chaotic at times, timely, sharpshooting, a la Buddy Hield, and just at no point did I think they were going to lose the game. And they had that calming presence. Steve Kerr, incredible coach. Draymond been here. Jimmy been in big playoff series, of course, with being to the finals with Miami and all those deep playoff runs that he's had previously. They just felt like they came in and were like, we're going to win this game. We have no doubt in our mind we're going to win this game. The crowd didn't bother them. When the crowd got loud, they would hit a shot to silence them. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Of course, Steph's health is the most important thing. But Golden State, dangerous team, confident team. They know they can win this series. Minnesota was off, didn't find really any kind of offensive rhythm until late. And even when they found a rhythm, they'd have a bad turnover. They would force a shot up. But Golden State, one thing that you can control and can be consistent with is your defensive energy. Even when your shot's not falling, they do a great job of not allowing that to impact what they do on the defensive end. And that's because they have a lot of lunch pail players that are like, you know what, we're going to go out, we're going to play our best, we're going to give all out effort. And that results in big wins like this. Really, really an interesting first round so far. I didn't talk about Denver. What happened with Denver last night? I thought that was incredible. Jokic is remarkable. Aaron Gordon, just the confidence he had to shoot that shot to win the game. I won't get into that series too much because I want to keep the video short. But all 4 of these series that are happening right now, incredible talent all over the place. I can see each series going 7, at minimum 6, and really hope for that. I want to do more of these videos. I want more playoff basketball. And I want to start to look at things from a different lens, not X's and O's, but growth of teams, growth of players, and how past experiences have really elevated and given them the opportunity to shine. And again, the Pacers did an incredible job of taking what happened to them last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, playing poorly in clutch time, and have completely flipped the script this playoff. Tyrese Haliburton, kudos to you. Overrated? Nah, overhated. Appreciate y'all, everybody. As always, think critically, speak infamously. If you like this reaction, subscribe, rate, share the show, and we'll be back tomorrow. Love.